and their job growth net has stayed about even. Big businesses in this country, the Fortune 500, have primarily gone down in their overall employment for the last 10 years in this country as markets have moved overseas and some of the jobs have followed them. But these high growth companies, and that could be a t-shirt shop in Kansas City that's gone from 0 to 50, it could be Facebook, those companies have accounted for most of the new net job growth in this country. The challenge is that fewer of those companies are getting created each year, and it's been on a declining scale since about 2001, 2002, basically when the first tech boom crashed. So we have a public-private partnership called Startup America that the president announced about 6 months ago, which is focused on how do we help create more of those companies, how do we help more entrepreneurs get started, how do we create an environment where entrepreneurship can flourish across the country, not just in Silicon Valley and in Boston and in New York, but across the country, and then how do we help those companies not just get started, but succeed and grow faster. It's the speed up side of startups, not just the startup side. It's not enough to start a business, we need to help you get there faster. Sometimes that involves the business failing faster. I've started 4 or 5 businesses in my day, and I would say that 3 are around today, which is very exciting. The other 2 weren't valid businesses when we got into them, and it was helpful that they failed fast so that we could take the investors' money, take our time, put it into the next venture. We need to help companies get to that point as quickly as possible. So Startup America is a public-private partnership. The public side of it, we have a number of programs out of the Small Business Administration focus on how do we get access to capital, how do we help young entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, minority entrepreneurs get that first leg up so they get a chance to start the business. That's often at the local level through the SBA offices, SCORE counselors, which are retired executives who are full-time volunteers to help you start your business, and a number of other financing programs through the Small Business Jobs Act. On the private side, there's something called the Startup America Partnership. And if you go to startupamericapartnership.org, the longest URL in history, startupamericapartnership.org, there is a whole series of programs that have been invested in by the private sector and by foundations to help entrepreneurs start their businesses, speed them up, ramp them up, and get them going in a way that can help identify those high-growth companies and opportunities to help them succeed faster, creating more jobs and more innovation and a stronger corporate sector here in the meantime. That effort is headed by Steve Case, who's the former co-founder of AOL. You all probably remember those CDs in your mailboxes for about 10 years there at the start of the internet era. Steve has gone on to do a number of very successful companies and has agreed to put his time into this effort. He's here locally, and in about a month they'll announce the board of the rest of Startup America. It's a remarkable group representing entrepreneurs from all walks of life who've done some amazing things. The goal of the organization is to be for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. That's an example where we have a group here that meets every week, working both with the public side of Startup America and the private side. And it's very exciting for us to have partners. At your state level, the goal of Startup America is to also go out and create state versions of this. It's basically bringing together all these resources around entrepreneurship so that you can have a local version. So they launched Startup Illinois about 3 weeks ago. It's been remarkable to see all the energy that has congealed around it out of the gate. And there are similar efforts going on in just about every state in the country. So if you're interested in those kinds of state-based efforts in entrepreneurship, please let us know, and we can connect you up with folks at the partnership to make sure that you're engaged in the work that they're doing at the community level in those states. 2 other things I want to talk about. I'll be quick. One is switching gears a little bit to skills development. We have a challenge, as Carl mentioned. We have a 9.1% unemployment rate in this country. It's a lot of people looking for work. We also have over 1 million open job positions in this country. Today, if you go online, there are 1 million open job positions. It's a remarkable disconnect between people who need work and businesses who are having a devastating time hiring. When the president sits down with business leaders, again, from small businesses, 20, 25, 30 people, up to Fortune 500, he hears the same thing: having trouble hiring an operating engineer for my precision tooling shop in Minnesota, or I'm having trouble hiring Target's having trouble hiring people at their product development level. GE is having trouble hiring people, engineers across the country. So there's a huge disconnect there, and it's something that's a real challenge for our country as a result of that. We have people who need work, want work, hard workers that are looking for an opportunity. We have businesses that are having to potentially go overseas with those jobs because they can't find people there. So what can we do about it? We launched something called Skills for America's Future. This is another public-private partnership, and the whole goal of that organization is to try to map and match and fill this skills gap, as it's called. The first big announcement of Skills for America's Future was last Wednesday when the president went to Northern Virginia Community College to work with the National Association of Manufacturers, a group that represents a lot of the small and medium-sized manufacturers across the country, and someone that hasn't always agreed with the administration on every issue. But this is an area where we have 100% agreement. We announced that over the next 5 years, we're going to train 500,000 people in industry-agreed credentials that will be accepted in the industries to help them get jobs in those places where there are needs. So that's going to the way that'll happen is in community colleges across the country, they're going to launch these programs that will allow you to go for an industry credential where we know there's going to be a job on the other side because there's companies in that area that are looking for those credentials, those credentialed employees. So it'll hopefully help solve two problems: the skills gap, and then second, that unfortunately a lot of people have been going through community colleges or private sector colleges and investing real money, their own money, in an education, only to come out on the other side and find out that there's not a job for them because the skill or credential they got doesn't actually have a need in that area. I can't think of anything more devastating in a recession, and particularly than doing the right thing, spending your time and money to go and increase your skills and find out that there's not a job on the other side of that. So we want to fix that. The last one I'll talk about is called Change the Equation. The stat here is we have some of the best universities in the world, in fact, the best universities in the world for science, technology, engineering, and math education. When you look at the Nobel Prizes awarded each year, the vast majority of the highest ratio of Nobel Prize winners still train in U.S. universities, and that's something we should all be very, very proud of. However, when you start to drill into a little bit more, it reveals some startling challenges. One is that while we have the best universities and we're able to train some of the best scientists across the world, when you look at the hard science PhDs, people that graduate with a doctorate degree in chemistry, biology, engineering, only about a third of those people are actually eligible to stay and work in this country. So we train the best people in the world, we bring in the best talent in the world to our shores, we teach them how to be the best chemists in the world, and then we send them back to their home country to compete with us. A lot of those people would like to stay. There's an opportunity to try to bring them here, keep them here, and help them create jobs. The second is for our U.S. students who have long been among the best and the brightest, and again, the prizes continually play that out year after year. Only about 40% of people who enter college in their first year saying they want to pursue a STEM degree actually continue to pursue it in the second year. That's remarkable. People get bumped out because of cultural reasons. They feel like it's not cool. They get in a hard class and they decide, well, maybe I'm going to go over here. I did political science and history, so I can thoroughly relate to this. I thought I was going to be a neuroscientist, and after a couple of hard classes, I said, well, this guy over here is going out a lot more than me. He's spending a lot more time on the quad, and he's a history major, so I'm going to go hang out with him. As a result, I have a job paper pushing in government, whereas my friends are out there starting businesses and doing all kinds of work. But I think, in all seriousness, that's a huge challenge for our country, and that we have not valued and celebrated the science, particularly for women and for minority communities, where we need to provide those opportunities to help them with mentorship to get for why continuing on this hard path, especially through college and higher education, can be a tremendous opportunity. So Change the Equation is the last thing I'll talk about. It's an organization that was launched by the president about 18 months ago with a sole focus on scaling our STEM education programs across the country. They're taking the 5 programs that have shown to work, things like FIRST Robotics, which is a program that brings literally robots into elementary and middle schools and has a Super Bowl of robotics every year. They did it in St. Louis this year, the giant football arena in Indianapolis this year, the giant football arena where the Colts play, and it was incredible. You had thousands, actually tens of thousands of kids competing, getting cheered on by their parents. It was amazing. Will.i.am was there to perform, but he just stuck around for 3 days to have a great time. These kids were amazing. Anyway, it celebrates robotics in schools. So we're going to take these 5 programs, scale them into 100 different communities so that every community has the opportunity to have programs like this in their schools so we can reach kids early on. This is a private sector-led initiative. We're raising money from businesses, the same ones that tell us that they can't find the right people to hire. We're going to say, great, we can't solve your problem tomorrow, but we could solve it next week. Here is how you could invest in programs that work, and we'll make sure that we are producing the best employees and the most competitive scientists and engineers in this country. So I'm going to leave it at that. But what I want you to take most out of this is a couple of things. One is that's the president's problem-solving method. Is how do we get people together? How do we pull all the actors into the same room and say, once again, we're not going to agree on every piece of this, but we agree on 80% of it. Let's go get that 80% done with the maximum amount of energy and input that we have, and let's get working on it because we don't have any time to waste. So I want you to walk away with that in terms of thinking about our public-private partnerships. And then two, back to something that Carl said, these all require investments, both from the government, both the private sector, but also in your time and getting engaged in them in your communities. And we appreciate that. That's the most important thing we can do with these efforts, including the two you're about to hear about, is how do we make sure that there's community engagement all the way through Change the Equation, all the way through Skills for America's Future, because if we build a program, if we spend all our time working with you to think it through, and nobody utilizes it, we might as well have not done it, and it's not going to help us solve the problem. So we need your energy and your efforts to be engaged in the things I talked about and what you're about to hear from Robert and Jason. So thank you all for your time.